Hey guys, Quinn69 here. I'm going to be doing a guide for you boys. I'm going to be doing a guide for you guys. I'm going to show you the zDps monk. For those of you who don't know, this is the spec which basically you use for 2-man, 3-man, and 4-man groups. It's obviously it has no place in solo rifts as you do no damage. Currently, I use this spec to get rank 1 3-man on the seasonal ladder. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good spec, I'd say. There's a few variations. I'll quickly just demonstrate why it's so strong. So this is T6. I actually prepared these rare packs for you guys earlier. As you can see here, I mean, there's 2 rare packs, and if you look at the cooldown of Serenity, right? See how it's overlapping? Can you see how it's overlapping? Basically, your character is immortal. He cannot die. You're dropping a 30% damage amp. Dropping the 30% damage amp, you can damage amp with Dishearten, Mantra of Conviction. You're damage amping with Strong Arms. You're damage amping with your Toxin gem. Basically, you're just amping the mobs, and you're kind of grouping them up as best as you can. And then your whatever's in your group, preferably Demon Hunters, you know, they'll be able to kill the mobs. Surprisingly, I'm actually doing a little bit of damage. That's actually mind blowing. I mean, I didn't actually get my guide to do that, but whatever. Hopefully, we're gonna get out alive here. We may escape. We may escape. Yep, we made it. We made it. As you see, you obviously can't cast Serenity and teleport at the same time there. But yeah, that's basically what makes the spec so overpowered. What you're gonna need is basically cooldown reduction cap. I'm a little bit off. I'm missing 1% of my Ring of Royal Grandeur. But yeah, we'll go over what you need. We'll go over what you need. So basically, you're gonna need one of these bad boys here, Alaric's Crown. Basically, it increases the effect of the gem by X amount of percent. I think it's 80 to 100%. Oh no, 75 to 100%. So when you're looking for one of these things, what the stats you want to look for are not like the primaries or anything. It's the secondary effect, because obviously the more secondary. So if you've got 100% crown, that is literally an extra 12.5% cooldown reduction, and I've got 97%, so that's near to it. But yeah, that's what you want to be looking for. One of those bad boys with a high roll. Don't care what it rolls in the top there. Obviously, defensive stats will help, and I'll explain why they'll help later on. You're going to need Borns 2 set, basically for an extra 10% cooldown reduction. And obviously, you need to roll 8% cooldown reduction on the shoulder pads. You're going to need strong arm braces. I mean, these are not a necessity, but obviously, strong arms, basically, whenever enemies are knocked back, they take 28% more damage for 5 seconds. Technically, Cyclone Strike doesn't knock anything back, but I don't know, pulls are counted in the same group as knockbacks. So yeah, the Cyclone Strike procs the strong arm braces, and obviously that helps all your group members out. That buffs, you know, your group members' damage by 30% there. You're going to need a Vigilante Belt. Vigilante Belt is the only belt in the game which rolls with cooldown reduction. So you're going to want one of these bad boys. My one's a pretty sweet one. It's got 8% cooldown reduction, and I was able to get the 15% life. For gloves, pretty much the best gloves are Frostburns, but you want a really good pair. Yeah, like they're pretty much, obviously on all gloves they need to come with 8% cooldown reduction. So this pair here obviously gives me 16% toughness, and we'll explain why you need that toughness a little bit later. But yeah, the reason Frostburns are so good is because basically if you have Frostburns on, okay, say you have a weapon like an Azure Wrath on, or a any weapon which has a cold damage range. So if you look at the Azure Wrath, see how it says whatever the damage range is, 1000 to 1400 cold damage, right? The cold damage alone will proc the Frostburns, and it's the same with any weapon. So like I just got this Jawbreaker here, it has cold damage range, so just any attack, doesn't matter, it can be whatever, Cyclone Strike, you know, Breaking Wave, it doesn't have to be a cold attack, just the cold damage range procs the Frostburns alone, because technically I think it's from back in vanilla when you know, weapon elemental effects used to actually do something. For whatever reason, anything with cold damage still procs the Frostburns, and I'm getting asked that a lot. So yeah, there you go. That's why Frostburns are so good. But obviously you want a really good pair, so you can actually, you prefer like Dex, Vit, and then roll 8% cooldown reduction. So that's why I'm using these ones here, because I've just got so much more like survivability with those gloves. but eventually if I do get a good pair of frostburns, I will be swapping over to them. Captain Crimson's, you can craft this. It really doesn't, like, honestly it doesn't matter what they roll, you're just getting it for the 10% cooldown reduction basically. Obviously you're going to preferably want defensive stats. Weapons, Thunder Fury is really good. If you have a really good Zurath, obviously, it's probably going to beat out a Thunder Fury. But in saying that, if you're playing with Demon Hunters, they have Bane of the Trapped. It's a gem that procs only when the mobs are slowed, and Thunder Fury procs their Bane of the Trapped. So that's why I'm generally going to be using a Thunder Fury. But if I do end up getting a sick Zurath with like Vit, you know, Dex, and then I can roll, I don't know. Basically, if I can get one with 10% cooldown reduction, I will be using one, which still has, you know, good stats. And then the other like really good weapon for this setup is a Sledge Fist. It comes with a up to a 50% chance. As you can see there, 30 to 50% chance to stun, and that's the main reason why you're using it. And you can actually roll the primary off any of your weapons, because obviously damage is not a thing that you want to be doing. You're really just there to amp the other players in the group's damage. You're doing 0 damage. So yeah, you can roll the damage range of either of these. My Thunder Fury just had a dead stat on it. I cannot remember. I think it was like area damage, so that's why I've rolled cooldown reduction on there. And obviously on both your weapons you need 10% cooldown reduction, 10% cooldown reduction, otherwise it's unusable. Every single slot, including the rings. Obviously a ring that you need is Ring of Royal Grandeur. Mine's actually only got 7% cooldown reduction. I'm still working on getting that last percent. That is the 1% that I'm missing. So I'm hopefully going to get that one day. You just got to believe the RNG gods. But yeah, and this ring is not optimal because it doesn't have a socket. You preferably want a socket. And we'll go over the gems in a little bit. For your other ring, there's quite a few rings you can run. There's Mandal Heal. I don't think I have any of them on me. There's Mandal Heal. There's Band of Rude Chambers. And basically any ring with a socket and 8% cooldown is good. But if you've got a ring which has a special effect, which is going to help you generate spirit, it's obviously going to be great. Or one with an extra primary, so like Band of the Untold. We got one. Anything, like, I mean, even a wedding band, if you can get one similar to this, I could obviously roll 8% cooldown reduction on that, and then I get a cool effect. Basically, best in slot ring is probably going to be a Band of the Rude Chambers on your offhand. But yeah, obviously this is a seasonal character, and it's a really rare ring. And the chances of you getting one, which is actually going to have a socket and you can roll 8% cooldown reduction, is going to be really low. So good luck on that. Necklaces. Currently I'm using a Flavor of Time, because Flavor of Times come with an extra primary. This one's got already came with a socket, and it had 18% life on it, and I was able to roll, you know, just more Vit, which is actually insane. So this is a really good option for me. But probably the best necklace you can actually get your hands on is Overwhelming Desire. It's a necklace from the Act 3 Bounty Bagged, and basically it has a chance on hit to charm the enemy and make them take 35% more damage. But yeah, the 3 gems you want to be using, this one that I cannot use at the moment, is probably the least necessary gem. If you're going to lose out on any gem, I'd say this one here. I mean, obviously it'd be this one here. Basically, the only reason you're using this gem is for the secondary effect. 20% chance on hit to stun the enemy for 1 second. So basically you're just adding another CC into your arsenal. The next awesome gem that is probably the second best gem. Is the gem of Toxin, and basically you're not worried about the damage proc. It's just a secondary. All enemies you poison take 10% more damage from all sources. Obviously that's buffing the party's damage by 10%, so that's a really strong, just another 10% damage buff. You gotta remember all these damage buffs like strong arms, the gem, like you know, Inner Sanctuary, all these things, none of them are multiplicative. They're all additive on top of each other. So it's not truly a 10% group increase buff. It's probably going to be less at the end of the day because you're stacking so many damn damage buffs. But that's what you're there for. So any damage is good damage. And the last gem, and the one that you need, if you say you've got 2 pieces of jewelry, which have got 8% cooldown, but you can't get a gem socket on them, this is the one gem that is required, and that is the Goric of Swiftness. Chance on hit, basically, to stack up 15 times, 15% cooldown reduction, and 15% attack speed. The attack speed doesn't really matter, it's just the cooldown reduction. And you'll see here, without the gem at full, basically, so when I'm pressing this, if you look at this Serenity corner, see, there's no overlap, whereas before when I was fighting those mobs, my gem was stacked up, and that's why I was basically unkillable. The mobs couldn't basically touch me. So now this is why I'm stacking an absurd amount of toughness, because initially when you run in, obviously you're not going to have any, because it only lasts for 4 seconds, the gem, the stacks will drop. If you're out of combat for 4 seconds, say you're going into a new zone, or there's just like no mobs or whatever, say your stacks just happen to drop off, then initially when you run in to fight the mobs, basically what's going to happen is you're going to hit Serenity, you're going to be fighting there, and say you're doing a G40, that little tiny 300 milliseconds of downtime, you can just die. And that's why there's so much toughness on all, like you want to just be going full defense, obviously cooldown reduction in the helmet, full aura assist, and stack vitality, and a little bit of healing helps, because obviously you just need enough healing just to get your life back before your immunity runs out. So I've only got 16k, I could have a little bit more, but mainly you just want to have protection for when you initially run in, because once the gem stacks are up, you have overlap, and then you can't die. Can't die. Unless your internet lags, then you're fucking dead. Yeah, you will die occasionally on this running the setup, but we'll explain ways that you can help yourself live. Then for the mantras, currently I'm using mantra of Conviction Dishearten. Dishearten is basically an 80% slow and a 30-yard radius. Pretty strong. Obviously it helps you control the mobs quite easily. You know, it gives you map control. Basically it helps your demon hunters survive, because say a mob is loosely running around trying to kill them while you're trying to cyclone them in, that 80% slow will allow them to hopefully survive. It actually slows down things. It's really awesome. If you watch a Punisher, you know, those big huge mobs that jump and one-shot people, they actually jump really slowly. The jump gets slowed by 80%. It's really awesome. The only other rune I would consider would be Overall for an extra 6% damage. Obviously you're trying to min-max, get as much possible damage out. So this is pretty good if you're not too worried about your bros dying. So yeah, Overall is a good choice. Obviously you can take a defensive route if your damage is fine and your group's just getting smashed. Say I don't know, you've got some noob friends that you're playing with. You can just run Mantra of Salvation. Any of these runes are pretty much good, but like Agility is generally going to be great, like the best in the higher grader rifts, because you've got 35% chance to avoid damage entirely, and obviously, like say a Mortar comes out in a G40, if the Demon Hunter dodges that, that means they're going to live. If they didn't dodge it, then they're probably just dead regardless. So yeah, that's the only reason. That's the only other mantra I consider. But generally, your party mates are going to get one shot anyway, so you're better off to just go with the damage. Now, normally this is where my Dashing Strike is, but as you can see, the spec does not run with Dashing Strike, which is kind of awkward in some situations. You'll find, because you obviously cyclone, say it's really dense, you cyclone everything onto yourself. You know, you kind of get stuck in there, but you've obviously got Epiphany to kind of teleport out, because every time you use an attack with Epiphany, you teleport to the target, so you can kind of negotiate your way awkwardly out of the mobs. But you need every single ability on the bar, basically. The only other rune you'd use with Cyclone Strike is basically Wall of Wind. It's got a 1.5 second freeze every time you press it, and you're pressing it a lot. So you can pretty much permafreeze stuff with that rune there. But generally, I find you're better off in the in the more open maps and stuff. That the 34, even in the enclosed maps, just being able to grip stuff that's all the way out here, on the very outer edges of your screen, is going to be better than that kind of small 24-yard stun. There are some situations, say it's like a really dense like heap depth map, and like there's heaps of doorways and it's just small little compartments. That's when this rune would be slightly better, but in most situations, Implosion is going to be the best rune to go with. Now, you know how we're kind of immune to damage and everything. You must be wondering, why on earth am I using Desert Shroud? It's pretty much mandatory. You can run with Insight. It gives you 45 Spirit Regen, which is obviously really handy. Means you can basically indefinitely spam. You can be constantly pressing Mantra. You can be always cycloning and stuff. But what will happen is either the server will lag, or your stacks of your gem will drop, and then basically you're gonna have like a little tiny bit of downtime in your Serenity, or you'll just forget to press your Serenity or something. Then you're just gonna get instantly killed. Just like you'll be at full health and then just dead. Obviously, I'm talking in the really high grader rifts. So like in the G40 X Plus. I think the highest US team on normal mode, non-season, is like 49. So you can imagine 49, anything is just gonna like one-shot you. So if you can reduce that damage, that one-shot damage, by 50%, then you have a high chance of actually taking one hit. And that's basically what that's there for. Yeah, but definitely try Inside Out, and you'll probably have the same kind of, you'll end up at the same point as me and end up just going back to Desert Shroud, because generally a Spirit's okay. You'll have enough to you know, press Mantra when you're slashing. When everything's in position, you won't have any Spirit problems. The only time with Desert Shroud that you have some problems is when say it's just a bunch of really annoying mobs that won't get in position, and then I don't know, you run out because you're pressing Cyclone too much, and then you don't have enough to press your Mantra. But in best case scenario, Desert Shroud will keep you alive, and you'll still be able to use all your damage buffs. Fingers crossed. Now for your left click, I've been testing a few of these, and I've come to the conclusion that the 10% damage buff is the best. And obviously, it's not just a 10% damage buff. Crippling Wave is also another party buff. It's a slow. So basically, every third hit dazes the enemies within 11 yards, slowing their movement speed by 30% and their attack speed by 20% for 3 seconds. So that's always up, that debuff, and then they take 10% more damage. And it's all additive. All these damage modifiers are just adding up. It's really good. Another rune you can consider. Say if your group's fine on damage and you're absolutely smashing the content, but people are dying every now and then, obviously Tsunami could be nice. What Tsunami allows you to do is every third hit, that little AoE there just freezes everything. It's just another freeze, another bit of CC to add to your arsenal basically. But generally, you don't need that. You've already got like heaps of control with, you know, you get your Sledge Fist, you got your Azure Wrath, your Thunder Fury. You know, you're slowing everything by 80%. You got a lot of crowd control basically. Generally, you're not going to need that. And also, you've got your 80% slow on Inner Sanctuary here. And not only is this an 80% slow, it's also a 30% damage amp, just more damage amp. It's insane. And because you got so much cooldown reduction, obviously I haven't even got my Taiguk stacks up. As you can see, you can have multiple Inner Sanctuaries down at the same time. So it's pretty damn crazy. As for passive skills, Beacon of Yita, man, you can't go without this. This is 100%. You've got to have it. And as you can see here, it seems kind of outrageous having like you know, near-death experience, harmony, and Sixth Sense, like your 3 major defensive talents basically, all on the bar at the same time. You're wondering why I'm using that, because you know, you're pretty much immortal. But that's not the case. Obviously, when you're doing, because I've been doing G45s for like the last 2 or 3 hours now, and you just need it. You just like, you can get killed just like I mean seriously, if there's electrified and your serenity comes down for even half a second, you're just dead. Oh, that's another amulet that's really good as well. If I had one, if you had a Zephyrin amulet, the lightning immunity amulet, with 8% cooldown reduction, obviously then you could definitely consider going Insight, because probably the main killer out of everything is electrified. But then obviously you can just get really unlucky, have a little bit of downtime in your Serenity when like a molten explosion's going off, or a abomination is exploding, or something random like that, and you can just get killed. I mean, there's hundreds of things that can kill you in like a fraction of a second. So yeah, that's why I'm using all these defensive skills. Obviously, if you want to buff the party a little bit more, technically Resolve is slightly better. I mean, all it's doing is reducing the mob's auto attacks and stuff, but I mean, you can swap that out. But I don't know, the reason I run with Near Death is that procs for me like at least 3 times a rift. And sometimes I won't even die during the rift just because of that talent, you know. That thing carries. I prefer this setup. You guys should try it out. But obviously if you're doing lower content, so you're only doing G35s to G40s, you definitely could start swapping some of these out for some more aggressive, you know, talents. Like, you know, you could probably even, I don't know, you could actually just leave them as is and actually just switch off Desert Shroud to Insight. That'd probably be the most aggressive thing you could do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You got a lot of damage amp. You're getting 10% damage amp from this Toxin gen. You're getting 30% damage amp from the Strong Arms. You're getting 30% damage amp from the Forbidden Palace. You're getting 10% damage amp from the crippling wave. You're getting up to 26% if you go overall. You know, there's a lot of damage amp going on, and then you can also get a Overwhelming Desire, a necklace from Act 3, which has 35% damage amp, and also it's crowd control. I really need to go farm one of those, to be honest. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the guide. If you have any questions, definitely come check my stream out at twitch.tv/Quinn69, and I can answer you know, whatever your question is. I'll try my hardest to answer it as best as I can live on stream. And yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching, boys. Have a good one.